from the 12th of the 4th month of 1438, the Satanic interpretation and role in the fulfillment of dreams. Particularly after reading and listening to the Rig Veda and the Samaveda, I have wondered about verses and statements in different contexts. That leads one to ask why Iblis, Shaitan, and the plural Shayatin finds no mention in the Suwar chapters entitled Declaration of Immunity, Jonas, and Hud. What does it mean that these terms and jinn, fire beings, will find no mention in the Surah chapter called the Thunder? It is said that before being called to be a prophet of Allah, Muhammad ibn Abdullah and others before him started with being gifted in dreams. Prophet Joseph was a prime example in his dream of 11 celestial bodies, Kaukaban, the sun, and the moon. This is of a different order than the usual starlight, moonlight, and sunlight order in mythology. Why do you suppose that is? The typical mythology of hundreds of years ago would have made it 7 total instead of 13. Is this a cosmological simile or something mystically oriented? Then we come to Al-Quran 12:5, teaching that Jacob warned him of telling his brothers such a vision, because a shaitan might use it to show how he is an enemy to humanity. And before I continue, let me remind you in regards to the, there could be a gas giant or something larger in a couple spots in the outer solar system past Pluto. There's certainly the mathematical or, the physical evidence to support that that could be the case. But it would have to be quite a ways out. I mean, like multiple times the distance away from the sun is Pluto. Then we come to Al-Quran 12:5, teaching that Jacob warned him of telling his brothers such a vision, because a shaitan might use it to show how he is an enemy to humanity. The passage goes on to prophesy Joseph, Yusuf, would be given the interpretation of events. Ta'wil il-Hadith, and other favors on Jacob, Yaqub, and his descendants, as had been done with Isaac, Ishaq, and Abraham. Ibrahim, the struggle against Satan as their enemy, appears as a means to righteousness, consciousness, and other goodness in the narrations of these prophets, other prophets, and others. Other goodness will we be a means for Satan? Will we work on perfecting ourselves, and in hopes of that and other greatness in our response to Satan as the opponent? Shaitan in Arabic is something that's afar off. Strife arises between the rest of Jacob's sons and Joseph and Benjamin. Joseph is sold into slavery and ends up in prison preaching to inmates after interpreting a couple people's dreams. Al-Quran 12:42 relates the teaching of what was said to the person who is striving in what renders in two literal ways. Both a shaitan caused Joseph to not remember God with it, and Satan provoked the drink bearer to not mention Joseph to his Lord, can be rendered. Apparently, Satan can react upon a person to cause not only forgetfulness of God, but a neglect to even mention his true servants and devotees. The passage goes on to mention how the cupbearer remembered years later. Joseph interpreted the king of ancient Egypt's dreams. He was offered a position of power. His reputation was cleared. He accepted the positions of power, and he interacted with his brothers before being recognized. Many New Age faiths have come up to claim that dream interpretation largely comes from ancient Egypt. When a name is given to the figure, it often starts with an I, J, or Y. To me, this indicates that their mythology hints at the story of Joseph. The whole family is invited to the two lands, Galway, we now call Egypt. The brothers try to trick the father once more, without him falling for it. The father regaining sight by the means of Joseph's shirt, and the brothers come to regret and repent. The brothers find themselves presented by example as more directly troublesome than the Satan is called in this biography. Then Al-Quran 12:100 mentions how the parents of Joseph were brought to his throne, and they prostrated for him, fulfilling the dream from God that required a shaitan bringing animosity between his brothers as a catalyst of the saving of Joseph and his benefit. The prostration of the 13, and probably the company brought with them, was not a gesture of worship as it universally is now. If the devil sowed the seeds of discord, it was the choices of human beings that let them survive and grow. As this surah chapter mirrors itself, it makes sense that it ends calling to investigate physical history and other signs, the way it opens by teaching that the revelation clarifies signs and brings out unknown stories. The whole story seems to have a central message of what takes can be the means to receive more. And my flag here, if you know what it means.